it's Theresa here of Larkin Design, and welcome to layout number 6 in my Bermuda Honeymoon album. Today I'm working with a few more photos from around our hotel. We stayed at the Grotto Bay in Bermuda. This was our honeymoon that we took in 2012, and so today I have a couple of bits of ephemera that came back with us from the trip. I have a brochure from the hotel and a map, and I just wanted to pull those out. I just shared those on the screen, and I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with those yet, but I wanted to be sure to include some of the just bits and pieces and maps and informational brochures and things that came home with us. I want to be sure and include those in my album. So you'll see me over the next couple of videos pulling some of those ephemera pieces, and I'm not sure exactly what I want to do, but I want to leave it sitting on my desktop so I'll be reminded. And so be sure and stay tuned. At the end of the video, you'll get to see what I ended up doing with those. For now, I'm going to work on the left-hand side of the layout. And so our hotel, of course, had a beautiful hot tub. We didn't actually use the hot tub. I'm not a big fan of really flaming hot water. But the entrance to the hot tub was this beautiful architectural element. I guess it's sort of like a Greek key or a key entrance, and so we had both taken pictures of each other posed in front of that architectural element. And so I'm working with the Dear Lizzy Lovely Day collection today, and so here's what I want you to take with you today. I had created a kit for this album with a bunch of products, and you guys probably saw the video where I shared all the products that I had gathered together, some that I had been saving for 5 years to use on this project. And when I was going through there and sort of pulling out some of the things that I wanted to use today, I kept pulling out pieces and papers that came from the Dear Lizzy Lovely Day collection. And so I decided to go with that, and I went ahead and pulled my whole Lovely Day collection out, and so I have it near me, and I'm working from that collection for the majority of this layout. And so what I want you to take with you is to give yourself permission, even if you've pulled together a kit for an album and you keep going back to a certain collection while you're shopping your stash, then go ahead and give yourself permission to pull that whole collection and just use that whole collection and let that be your jumping off point. Then you've accomplished 2 goals. You've used some pieces from your kit that you created, and you've also used a collection that you've been holding on to or that you love and that is inspiring you. And so I'm drawn to the colors in this collection. Some of them are more pastel, which is what I've been sort of focusing on in this album. That's been my design concept, is to use more pastel colors and echo the pinks and the corals and the greens that we saw on the island. But there are also some pops of bright color in this collection as well, and I kind of like the contrast in this collection. So that's what I'm working with, and you can see that I'm just working my way here around the page. I'm writing a little bit of journaling, just some more about how we feel about being on the island and what an experience that was for both of us, and just being able to be together, just the two of us. And then I have a little rule for myself that I, in an effort to simplify my process, I always leave one card untouched in the layout. So the ampersand card is the one card that I left untouched. It didn't need anything. I've just left it in the pocket without anything added to it. Now, this number card is actually, it's a tag from one of the cut apart sheets in the collection, and because it was taller than the pocket, I cut off the top of the tag and just made it a 3x4 card. And I'm going to layer some of the tickets that were in the ephemera pack. I'm just going to layer those tickets on top, trim a little bit off the edge, and that's all I'm going to do to that card. And I'm going to add a little puffy sticker. So there were scooters in this collection, and we had, while we were in Bermuda, we rented a scooter for a couple of days. We haven't got to that part yet, but I want to repeat the scooter element throughout this album, simply because it's something that, if we talk about Bermuda, we inevitably always talk about the scooters and what an experience that was. So there'll be more on that later. I don't want to give any of that away, but I do like the idea of repeating different elements and letting those elements peek through at various places in the album. Now, on the back side of this layout, I had created this little shipping tag, and so when I put the final card into the side of the pocket page today, it left this sort of unattractive border, right? So I'm just going to cut down plain white cardstock here and put that in between the tag and the card, just so that tag is backed simply by white space. And it's just a simple way to deal with that. Don't overthink something like that. I thought about how when I photographed that other side of the layout originally, that tag was just viewed against the white desktop or worktop. And so just having a white cardstock background for that works out just fine. I'm also adding just a few tiny elements to the photos here. These are from the cut apart sheets again that were in the Lovely Day collection. And so usually what I do when a collection has a cut apart sheet, I usually try to go ahead and cut everything out, just so that it's easier to use. And some people might not like that. That's okay if you're not a fan of doing it that way. It seems to work for me to encourage me to actually use those elements in those cut apart sheets. Alright, and so I just stapled that tag and that photo actually to the page protector, and then I'm going to tape the other photo behind it. It's just one way that I sort of try to keep things snug in those top pockets especially. Now the other side of my layout here is a design D, I think, from Becky Higgins, and I've actually cut off a part of it, so it really measures like 8x12 or something like that, or 7x12, and so it's 2 vertical spaces and then the 4 3x4 spaces that are in horizontal orientation. And so this is a great way to go back and forth between horizontal and vertical photos. And I hear this a lot in different forums, and people come in and ask me, how do you handle when you have vertical and horizontal photos from the same event, or that you want to put on the same layout? And I always go through a pretty good deal of planning in my albums before I start them, while I'm printing my photos, and I'm sort of planning where those photos are going to go in the album. And this is part of my planning. Wherever I have a combination of horizontal and vertical photos, I'm going to just throw in a page protector that will allow me to include those vertical photos right alongside the horizontal ones, and then repeat that on the back. And then you don't have to stress about it so much. Sometimes it might mean that they're out of order, and again, just don't stress about it too much. I don't think that anybody's going to grade you if you have some photos that aren't exactly in perfect order. So you'll see in the next video what is on the other side of this pocket page. And also, just a little shameless plug for an upcoming class that I am working on and creating content on, that includes some tips and tricks on combining vertical and horizontal photos in your pocket pages. So stay tuned for more on that topic. It's definitely one that is a challenge, and is definitely one that can stop your creative process. But there are ways to get around it, and there are ways to plan so that you don't get stuck. Now, on the far right hand side of this layout, I had these 4 3x4 horizontal pockets, and I don't do 3x4 horizontal very often. I'm just going to say that. And so I wasn't really like scared or overwhelmed or anything. I was just sort of fascinated to see how this came about. And what I decided to do was to use this pattern paper. It's an old pattern paper from the Gossamer Blue exclusives from like probably 3 years ago. And it's just typewritten font on the paper in a real light mint green. And I cut that up and used that on the whole side, just for consistency and to simplify, actually. And I knew that I wanted to do a little bit of layering on these, and so to keep it from being too busy or just too much, the background of that whole side of the layout is just one straight pattern paper. It's a very subtle pattern, not very busy at all. And then I'm going to just layer a couple of pieces onto each pocket. I'm working here on my title. It's called Love This Place. And so this title sort of came about organically when I was looking at the chipboard pieces from Lovely Day. I really like this love word, and I like it because it's a navy color which sort of pops in this collection. The navy that shows up in different places throughout this collection, it really pops, and I really like that contrast between pastel and lighter colors, and then boom, a little bit of navy. But obviously it needed a little more than just one word, love, and so I thought I would use these Simple Stories alphabet stickers to spell out the rest. Now, I didn't bore you with the placement of every one of these letters, but they are layered on top of a little touch of washi tape. So this card is layered with the pattern paper, the washi tape, the alphabet stickers that say this place, and then the chipboard love. And so I'm just going to take another minute here to straighten those. They're never perfect, I promise you. My alphabet stickers are never perfectly aligned, and that's okay. That's part of the charm, right? And once I get them all straightened out, then I've got to figure out. Here, I'm going to fuss with them just a little bit more again. It will literally drive you crazy if you let it, trying to put these alphabet stickers down. But now I'm trying to figure out how I want to position the word love. And I decide in the end, because it's a little bit taller than I had planned, so I'm going to layer it on top of the page protector. Now, over the months, I'll be paying attention to it and seeing how it stays on there. If it ends up not staying or feeling like it's going to come loose or whatever, you can always go back and staple it into place. And that's okay to do. But this way, I like how it sort of ties together the photo and then two of those pockets. It ties them together, and so your eye reads that as one whole grouping, actually. Now the other pockets that I'm working on here, I have this little label. It's actually an Amy Tangerine piece. I have no idea what collection, but notice here how I am mixing up greens. And now don't get hung up on the green part. Some people don't like green, and I understand that. I get it. I happen to like green, and I happen to really like that so many of the photos from Bermuda were very green, from the grasses and the palm trees, and so green is repeated throughout this album. And one thing that I've given myself permission to do is to not stress over the tints and tones and shades and whatever of greens that there are across the different collections, right? Because it's going to be impossible to match an Amy Tangerine green to a Dear Lizzy green, right? Sometimes it may happen, but you could drive yourself crazy trying to match every single green in an album. And for me, it feels much more organic, because when you look at photos of trees, you actually see different shades and different tints of green. And when you look at a field of grass, you actually see different shades and different tints. So embrace that. Embrace those differences as an organic kind of feel for the album, and let it progress. Let the products tell you more so than worrying about matching exact shades. Let them tell you what to use. So that's just another little takeaway today. I think that it's easy to get, color choices are another thing that are very easy to get hung up on and to get stuck on. And if you look outside, you know, all the colors outside go together really beautifully. and that's by design. So anyway, so here's what I ended up doing with the ephemera that I had. I had a hotel brochure that had a couple of pages in it, and here you can kind of see there's my album and how it's coming along, how these layouts are looking so far. And what I decided to do is just punch some holes in that hotel brochure. I'm not going to worry about the map just yet. I'll probably end up cutting that up and just putting it in a page protector by itself. But I am going to take that brochure and just use my crocodile and punch holes in it. So that's just the last thing here that I'm going to do for this layout. And then the next time we'll be working on the back of this page protector. And there will actually be photos from the inside of the hotel next. So we're finally done. We're finally done with the photos from around the hotel. I think it ended up being like 3 layouts from around the hotel. So that's cool. That's fun. And I'm just going to do a quick little walk through here so you can see the whole thing. And then I'm going to wrap everything up. I hope that you will like and comment and subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.